Hello everybody, welcome to the latest edition of our series on short-handed sailing methods. During the series, we're sharing some of our attempts at using short-handed methods and skills, particularly when close-quarter manoeuvring in the marina, as we're very much on that learning curve where we're getting to know our new boat. In our last vlog, we used a bow bridle for departing the berth. Now, if you haven't checked out those vids, please do that, because we had some mixed results. But one thing we'd like to say is a massive thank you to everybody who's commented on that vlog and come up with some really useful suggestions on how we can improve that. Rest assured, we're going to be doing that and sharing the results. Short-handed sailing can be particularly stressful. But one thing's for sure, one book that we've actually been working through to help us with the fact that we're short-handed is this book by Duncan Wells. Believe me, it's just crammed with great ideas. Things like entering and exiting a berth, various rope techniques, etc. And we're actually working our way through those and sharing the results. Hopefully, at the end of the day, we become better sailors. In this episode, we're going to take a look at a method for turning in a confined space, which is actually a very important tool to have in your toolkit. But it will be helped by an understanding of some of the forces at work here and how we can use those forces to our advantage. So, imagine the situation, if you will. You've arrived at a strange marina. You've called on the radio, you've been allocated a berth, and you go stooging along like the bewildered tourist that you are, and you're looking for that berth. Unfortunately, you go sailing straight past it. Now, that's happened a few times, hasn't it? And unfortunately, it means you're going to have to turn around and start heading back. This sometimes means that you're going to have to turn in a confined space. So this is where this skill comes in, and boy does it pay. So effectively, what we're trying to do is turn the boat round in the shortest possible space. But in this maneuver, we want to try and harness the effect of something called prop walk to make this whole thing a little bit more efficient. So before we get into this, let's start at the beginning and think about the propeller itself. Now, in this exercise, it's important to understand which way your propeller rotates in a forward direction, or when the boat's going in a forward direction. Some will rotate in a clockwise direction, while others, depending on the prop and the gearbox setup, will rotate in a counterclockwise direction. So it's important to understand which way yours goes in the first place. Of course, when in reverse, the propeller is going to turn in the opposite direction. Now, you may think, what's this got to do with anything? But in reality, it's important to understand which way your propeller rotates in the first place, because when we talk about prop walk, it will dictate the direction you'll experience prop walk in, if that makes any sense. So, let's talk about prop walk. Prop walk is one of those quirky things that until you actually understand a little bit about what's going on, it can seem a little bit of a dark art. Well, in effect, when you think about the propeller turning, especially when going astern, you think that it's just pushing water away. Well, it's not strictly true, because as the propeller spins, it's also moving the water slightly sideways. So in effect, what happens is, as the propeller turns, it also encourages the boat to move sideways. Now, depending on your prop configuration, for example 2-blade prop, 3-blade prop, etc., it can actually have quite a big effect. So some propellers and setups are actually more prone to prop walk than others. Now, Double T does have quite a pronounced prop walk to the right. So we're going to try and use this prop walk to our advantage when making this maneuver. In the ideal world, we have as much space as we need, but in reality, we could be confined. Now, as we set up for this, the first thing we've got to do is observation. A good lookout and maintaining that lookout all the way through the maneuver. So next up, we need to think about our positioning so we can actually use that prop walk effect to our advantage. Now, on my setup here, I'm aware that my prop walk is to the right. So I'm positioning over to the right hand side of the waterway here, and will turn to port or to the left in order to use that prop walk to best effect. So what's going to happen now is the helm is going to go hard to port, and we're still in forward gear at the moment using that momentum. We're going to drop back to neutral, and then the engine goes to astern or reverse gear. Now there's not much power being used here at all, it's literally just in gear. And here's where we see this prop walk effect coming in. The boat's stern is going to the right while the bow is going to the left. Power-wise, you'll notice that I'm not using very much power at all. Now, common sense dictates the more power you use, the more space you're going to eat up actually with the boat moving. So we're trying to use as little space as possible, so therefore I'm using as little power as possible. So all we're trying to do here is get the boat moving a bit. So the bow is coming around, as you can see here, quite nicely. And then it's a case of drop back to neutral, reverse gear engaged, a little bit of juice just to get it moving, and then backing off that throttle once more. And this becomes a cycle that we're going to go through time and again. And you'll notice that the boat is more or less turning in its own length. As I said before, the more power we use, the more space we use. So we're trying to really manage this effort. But once we're happy that we've completed the turn, we can straighten up again. And just on that point, you might also have noticed that throughout the whole manoeuvre, the helm was hard down to the left and didn't move at all until I'm ready to straighten up again. It's as simple as that, folks. Practice is the key, of course, like all of these things. So that's the manoeuvre. Hopefully that makes it a little bit clearer for you. What I would suggest though is also think about your setup when you're actually going to do this manoeuvre. And you would want to try and use the prevailing conditions to your advantage. In other words, if you've got a strong wind or a breeze or tide, try and use them. For example, you'd want to ideally turn into wind rather than downwind. If it helps, think about using the strongest element. For example, the tide. If we turn into tide, it can be very useful. Likewise with the wind. Unfortunately, it's important to remember that you might need a little bit more power the stronger the natural element is. So there we have it, folks. I do hope you found that useful, if not mildly entertaining. To be honest with you, folks, it's one of those things. The more you practice, the more you get comfortable with your boat. And I have to say, right now with Double T, each time I go out and practice a manoeuvre like this, I get more and more confident with the boat, particularly in close quarter manoeuvring. Let's face it, if ever you're going to damage your boat, close quarter manoeuvring is way up there on the list of possibilities. So the more you can practice and get confident with your boat, the better. As your skill increases, your stress decreases. So that's got to be a good thing. Do you have a different approach in the way you do this, folks? Please do tell us in the comments. Otherwise, we'll see you next time when we take on yet another skill. If you do like our content, please give us a like and consider subscribing. It's totally free and it'd be great to have you along on this adventure. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.